right. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. My name is Kim Armstead, Public Information Officer with the Oakland Police Department. Today, Oakland Police Interim Assistant Chief Tony Jones, Deputy Chief James Beer, and Acting Captains Casey Johnson and Heriberto Perez Angeles will be discussing a pilot program aimed at reducing auto burglaries here in the city of Oakland. Without further delay, I'll turn it over to Deputy Chief Beer.
Thank you, Officer Armstead. So I'm Deputy Chief James Beer. My last name's spelled B-E-E-R-E. So auto burglaries have plagued the city of Oakland for a long time. Recently, we've experienced a spike within the last 2 years. Unfortunately, it's not just impacting Oakland, the greater Bay Area, and throughout the state of California. Unfortunately, there's a small group operating within the city of Oakland and others coming from outside of Oakland to commit these crimes and target our community. Most are organized groups or gangs who employ tactics and techniques so they can quickly execute these crimes. Many times, these burglaries turn into robberies when the victims end up confronting them in the course of the crime. It is common for these criminals to be armed, and in some cases, these incidents have become violent and resulted in shootings. These burglaries negatively affect all of us. The ripple effect has led to people hesitating to patronize our businesses, restaurants, shops, and visit venues within the city of Oakland. Again, as a result, the decrease in revenue has led to businesses suffering financial hardships, and businesses have had to close. Our businesses greatly contribute to the vibrancy and culture of the city of Oakland. When speaking with my neighbors and community members, it's hard to not find someone that hasn't been affected by it. I can tell you from my own personal experience, my wife and I were having dinner in Jack London Square when her car was burglarized, resulting in her losing her car for a month because it had to be repaired. Within a week, my parents were visiting us at our home in East Oakland, and in broad daylight, I saw someone attempting to burglarize their car, which resulted in them fleeing from the scene. It's just far too common, and our community deserves better. It leaves all of us with an uneasy feeling, and not to mention the loss of belongings and the damage that's done. We've increased our violence suppression units to operate in the areas where the crime data shows that these crimes are being committed. We've also brought back our foot patrol units in the downtown area and deployed them where the businesses are, mostly affected. Our community resource officers work directly with our criminal investigations division to follow up on additional leads, as well as take those responsible for committing burglaries into custody. As a result, our patrol units have also been directed to step up enforcement actions in coordination with the Violent Crimes Operations Center to target those individuals that we do know they're engaging in these crimes. As a result, we've started to see a positive impact in some of the burglary rates decreasing. We still have a lot of more work to do. Next, I would like to introduce Captain Johnson, who represents Bureau of Field Operations to East Oakland.
Thank you, Chief. My name is Captain Casey Johnson, last of Johnsson. I'm the Area 6 Captain in East Oakland. When we think about burglaries as it pertains to East Oakland, historically there's been 2 locations in East Oakland that have seen more auto burglaries than any other locations in the city of Oakland. Those 2 locations are Hagenberger Road Corridor and the 98th Avenue Corridor. There's many factors that play into what's going on in these 2 locations. Both of these are main thoroughfares to and from the Oakland International Airport, which see hundreds of thousands of visitors coming into our city and utilizing a lot of the businesses along these corridors. Along these corridors, you have restaurants, gas stations, and hotels. A lot of our visitors and residents often stop to get food and or gas, becoming victims of burglaries. Another factor is both of these thoroughfares have on-ramps and off-ramps to the 880 freeway, making this a target-rich environment for individuals involved in burglaries to be able to come in, burglarize individuals who are utilizing these establishments and making a quick getaway onto the freeways, sometimes before our victims even know that their vehicles have been broken into. I've attended many community meetings and owner-operating meetings in these areas, and their biggest concern is the auto burglaries that are occurring. I've been hearing that the businesses and seeing our businesses having to shut down, close indoor dining, and or leave the city because of the auto burglaries here. With that, the city had implemented our walking patrol units, as Chief Beard stated, in July in BFO2, specifically for the Hagenberger corridor, coupled with our overtime for our burglary suppression units in this area. Since July, with the focus of our foot patrol officers and our dedicated overtime burglary suppression teams, we've seen a 50% reduction in weekly auto burglaries in these two locations alone. Although we think a 50% reduction is great, we want to continue to see reductions in these areas to help our businesses thrive, our residents feel safer, and our out-of-town guests coming into the city not worry about what they're hearing on social media, what they're seeing in the news about the auto burglaries, and feeling free to be able to dine and use businesses in this location free of harm. With that, I'll turn it over to Assistant Chief Jones.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. As everyone pretty much knows, the auto burglaries in the city continues to be a significant challenge for OPD and for our residents. This year alone, we've had 11,300 locked auto burglaries in the city. That's a 36% increase from 2022. But as Captain Johnson just stated, we are seeing some positive signs that some of the things that we're doing have been working. In May, we were averaging 1,500 locked auto burglaries a month. And just last month, since we've been focusing on this issue, we saw 1,000. So that's 500 less cars that have been broken into in the city. And so we're going to continue our focus on auto burglaries. The impact that it's having on the residents, our visitors, and the businesses is just too enormous for us to not take it serious and not to respond. And so we were out last Tuesday doing auto burglary suppression, and we saw two individuals who we believe were involved in auto burglaries. We had them under surveillance. And unfortunately, while we had them under surveillance, they robbed an 80-year-old man who was leaving a Chase Bank in North Oakland. We were able to arrest these individuals, connect them to 12 armed robberies in the city of Emeryville. So that investigation is ongoing. But what we are seeing is when we're out doing the locked auto burglary operations, we're also able to impact other crimes such as street robberies and other things that we're seeing in the city. So these operations have been fruitful for us statistically and the impact that we're able to have on other crimes. What we want to do now is show you a video of what the citizens and what the residents are up against, and what the police are up against when it comes to the locked auto burglary. And what we want you to pay attention to is the amount of time it takes for this crime to occur. Okay. So looking at these videos, we sit around as a team and we try to figure out how can we impact these auto burglaries. The traditional response to an individual breaking into a car in the city is just not going to cut it for us. As you've seen right here, it takes 10, 15 seconds for these individuals to break into a car and be gone with a person's belongings. When a citizen calls 911, by the time they get the dial tone or for the phone starts ringing, the car's already gone. It could be breaking into another car. So what we realize is we have to be creative, think outside of the box, and look at ways where we can get the information or the intelligence of who's doing these crimes at a much rapid pace, almost instantaneously. So what we're here to announce is this weekend we're going to be trying a pilot program to address auto burglaries in the city. We've set up two temporary accounts on social media, on X, which is formerly known as Twitter, and on Instagram. And what we're asking the community to do is, if you're out this weekend and you see auto burglaries occurring, you could direct messages, you could post it on the thread. The choice is totally up to you. But if you send that information to us immediately, we're going to have staff monitoring the platforms, and they'll be able to relay the intelligence or the information to our surveillance teams that we're going to have in the city. So this weekend, we're going to have plainclothes teams, decoys, air assets, marked units, and what we're trying to do is catch as many people as we possibly can burglarizing in the cars in the city. What we want to reiterate is this is a pilot program. Like, we will deactivate this account when the operation is over. We're not sure what the impact will be. We need to assess it. We need to see if it'll work, if it's something we can, if it's worth us doing. It's just there's so many challenges to it. We just don't know how it's going to play out yet. So that's why at the end of the operation, we'll be deactivating. It is a pilot, and we really, really are counting on the community to help us with this. To catch a burglar, a police officer has to be really lucky. You have to be in the same place at the same time as a person that's breaking into a car. And so with the community's help, if they could direct us to where these things are occurring at, with the air assets, with the uniform, with the undercover officers, we'd be able to track the vehicles down and make the arrests rapidly and remove some of the luck out of the situation. And so what we cannot stress enough is that what we don't want is citizens trying to take matters into their own hands, or overtly trying to film or take photographs of people putting themselves at risk. All you need to do is direct message us. You can post a message on the different platforms that we have, and we'll take it from there. We've got more than enough police officers to handle this, and this is an opportunity for the police and the community to work together. And we're just hoping that this pans out. We're hoping that this could open up different possibilities for us, how we respond to a crime that happens this quick. And so we're really optimistic, and we think that there's potential here. But again, we're calling it a pilot because we just do not know exactly if it's going to work or not. And so I think with that, I think at this point we'll answer any questions that you all have. Yes, sir.
How many cars do you think these crews are breaking into in a day? Are they just knocking off one and going home?
No. So we've done surveillance before, and we've gotten reports from citizens. Well, they'll do 10 cars in a row in the lake area. And so they don't just break into one car and leave. They're breaking into multiple cars at a time. And one thing I did know, so we're going to be throughout the city, but we really want to focus on the downtown area this weekend, where our restaurants are, where our nightclubs at, where our visitors are at, so that people can come and enjoy Oakland and not have to worry about their cars getting broken into or losing their belongings, or a dinner out with a significant other or friends ends up costing them their vehicle and their valuables that are inside of their car. We're going to be citywide, but we're going to be heavily concentrated in the downtown and around the lake and Jack London Square area.
Where did you come up with this idea? I mean, did you borrow it from another municipality? Was this something that just kind of conjured up and said, hey, let's crowdsource this?
No, I think we have some talented people here at the police department, and the executive team and the captains just trying to figure out ways where we can be quicker, where we could take luck out of the equation. And so amongst us, we just started brainstorming and coming up with ways where we can get information instantaneously to help us better in the field to find the people that are doing this. So we just, as a group, we just kind of came up with it together.
What will sort of determine success if this works or not? What are the metrics you're going to
Right. I think what success would be how many people we catch. You know what I mean?
But if everybody's aware now, then they may not show up in downtown. So.
Well, if that for people who are going to be in downtown this weekend, then that will be a win. That will be an evening or a few evenings where they come to Oakland and their car do not get broken into. At the end of the day, what we're really trying to achieve is people being able to enjoy the city without losing their belongings in their vehicles and having their cars damaged. And again, you make a good point, which is why we have to call this a pilot and just experiment with it. We got to try it this one time because there could be drawbacks, like you said, that we're just unaware of or unintended consequences.
To piggyback off this question, though, if I mean, it's a small sample size, right? Just a couple of days. Is there the idea that this extends beyond just this weekend? That this continues maybe for a few more weekends? That way, you can actually collect some data and talk about the efficacy efficiency of it?
Yes. So that will be a part of our assessment of the operation. I mean, like you said, it could, if it works for us, then obviously we'll do it more. We look at it, could we expand it? But at this point, it's just so many unknowns, and we just don't know how it's going to play out. So we have to limit it to this one operation to see what the possibilities are and what the possibilities are not.
People have to know what these handles are, though, right? They're temporary handles.
Yes.
Right? How are you going to make sure that people know that? Is it going to be marketing at restaurants and bars, or is it just going to be?
So with that, we'll rely on our fine PIO team to distribute that information to you all. And this is what we're relying on you and have you all here today so we can get those handles out to as many people as we possibly can to let them know, what we're doing and let them know that we really need their help.
Now, we saw in the videos, and you actually mentioned that it takes 10, 15 seconds to actually break the window
Yes.
and just leave. But they're going directly, aiming at one car, not the next, not the other one, but just going directly to a car. What do you attribute to that? Are they using technology that shows them where it is, and will you be using that same technology?
So we don't want to get too specific in what we're going to be doing, but what I can tell you is that we have intelligence that there are devices out there that can alert auto burglars to vehicles that may have electronics or other items in it. So we're aware that these things do exist, and obviously when they operate like that, we have to have a counter for it. That's just something that we don't want to really go into to put ourselves at a disadvantage.
Any additional questions? Good witness.
Again, just want to reiterate, please, for the people out here who are going to be our partners in this, we just cannot stress enough to please don't get involved. Just send us the information and we can take it from there. That's it.
Copies of the video of the car break-ins that you guys showed?
Yes. Do you guys believe that this is organized, that this is specifically small groups of people that are doing it? And I guess one of the big things is supply and demand. What are they doing with all this stuff? There's got to be somebody willing to take the material after they get it.
So we do believe that a majority of it is organized by groups, and what we are in the process of doing, not just with OPD, but partnering with San Francisco, with the federal partners, state partners, is determining the point where they turn goods to cash. Right? There's a lot of information that we have about that we can't really go into because we don't want to jeopardize any investigations, but they're breaking into these cars ultimately for money. And so that part of it, the investigations that we have going on to that, I just really can't talk about, but there are things that we are doing to disrupt that side of things as well.
Are there any typical cars that they're looking at, any types or models or makes or colors? Or?
No, pretty much every vehicle, every make, model vehicle has been fair game.
We have time for one last question.
So, 2 weeks ago, Alameda County District Attorney Pablo Price introduced their new retail theft team.
Yes.
Are you guys working in collaboration with them as part of this program? And it sounds like exactly what they're talking about, catching these auto burglars, who then take, either steal a car or items, and it leads to other crimes.
Right. So we've been in contact with the district attorney's office about this, about other matters, and so we will definitely, if we end up making arrests, we'll sit down with the district attorney's office, express to them the importance of what we're trying to accomplish in the city, which they're already aware of. And so I think that this is an opportunity for us to partner when it comes to that specific initiative that they're doing, but ultimately that'll be something that they have to comment on or decide.
Okay. Thank you.